For 50 years, no ship has gone missing here, but one stormy night, it begins again. The first time Alex saw the lighthouse, it wasn't the towering structure that drew his attention. It was the silence around it. Maine's coastline was famous for storms, for waves that could rip a boat apart, but this place felt different. The air itself seemed heavier, pressing against his chest as if warning him not to enter. Alex parked his old Jeep on the gravel path leading to the crumbling lighthouse, the tires crunching under the weight of decades of fallen rock and neglect. He adjusted his backpack, feeling the notebook and camera shift against his back. Journalists often chase haunted houses or cursed towns, but lighthouses were different. They carried history. And this one, built in 1872 and abandoned since 1968, had stories buried like skeletons behind its walls. The locals in the nearest town, Camden's Edge, had given him the usual warnings. "You shouldn't go there, son," Old Man Fletcher said, his voice hoarse, eyes darting to the horizon. "Storms come fast, but it's what happens inside that'll get you." Alex had smiled politely, pretending the warning was part of the usual lore. He'd come to find an abandoned lighthouse to photograph, but the moment his boots touched the icy stone steps, unease gnawed at him. The door was rusted but gave way with a groan, echoing like a dying scream into the hollow interior. Inside, the air smelled of salt, mildew, and something else, metallic, almost coppery. His flashlight cut through the shadows, revealing peeling paint, broken furniture, and a spiral staircase leading upward. A journal lay on a cracked wooden table, as if someone had left it in a hurry. Dust covered the pages, yet the ink remained sharp, almost new. Alex's fingers trembled slightly as he opened it. The handwriting was elegant but frantic. "They come in the fog. I have kept the light burning, but they will not be saved. The sea takes them, yet they never leave. I am their witness, and I fear I may join them soon." A shiver ran down his spine. Was this from the last keeper? From decades ago? The pages mentioned a man named Samuel Black, the lighthouse keeper who vanished in 1968. He wrote about storms, lights on the water that shouldn't exist, and whispers in the fog that carried instructions no human could ignore. Alex felt the first gust of wind push against the broken windows, carrying a strange sound. A faint bell, though no bell existed here. The air thickened, and he realized he wasn't alone. A shadow flickered at the edge of his vision, gone when he turned. He took another step, gripping his flashlight like a lifeline. The spiral staircase beckoned, the faint smell of burning wood and wet stone growing stronger with each step. The lighthouse's lamp room was at the top, encased in glass that had somehow survived decades of storms. When he reached the top, the storm outside had begun. Lightning split the sky, revealing the ocean's fury below. And then he saw it. A ship, impossibly close to the cliffs, battered by waves, yet somehow untouched. Its sails were torn, and its hull bore markings Alex didn't recognize, symbols like those in Samuel's journal. A voice, low and melodic, echoed behind him. "You shouldn't have come." Alex spun around. No one was there. Only the wind whispered through the broken panes. The lamp, long dark, flickered to life, casting an unnatural glow over the room. Shadows danced like living creatures, stretching, twisting, forming shapes that shouldn't exist. A sudden crash below made him jump. Something, or someone, was moving in the lighthouse, unseen but undeniably present. The journal's words returned to him. "I am their witness." And in that instant, Alex understood. This lighthouse was not abandoned. It was waiting for him. Lightning struck again, and the shadows coalesced into a figure. Tall, thin, eyes glowing faintly in the storm. Samuel Black, or what remained. Alex is trapped in the lighthouse with a figure from the past, the lamp mysteriously lit, and a storm that seems to have a mind of its own. Will he uncover the lighthouse's secret, or will he join its victims? The storm raged outside like a beast, thrashing the cliffs with waves that hissed and roared. Alex's heart pounded as he pressed himself against the cold metal railing of the lamp room. Samuel Black's figure, more shadow than man, stared at him with eyes that seemed to pierce through the storm and straight into his soul. Alex's flashlight flickered again. He could see the reflection of the ghostly figure in the glass, but the shape of it shifted with the lightning, bending like liquid shadow. He wanted to speak, to call out, but his voice caught in his throat. The air itself felt heavier, as if the lighthouse had drawn a veil between him and the world outside. "Why are you here?" Alex finally managed to whisper. The figure didn't respond immediately. It moved closer, each step silent, gliding over the floorboards. The glow from the lamp cast long, impossible shadows that seemed to stretch into other dimensions. "You shouldn't have come," it said again, voice sharper this time. "But now that you're here, you must see." Alex noticed the journal on the floor beside the figure, its pages flipping open as if caught in an invisible wind. He stepped forward, drawn to it despite every instinct screaming to run. Symbols and diagrams he couldn't decipher filled the pages, detailing ships, storms, and the lighthouse's light. But there were also drawings of faces, twisted and contorted, some smiling, some screaming, all reaching out from the paper. "They come every storm," the shadow whispered, "and I keep them at bay. But the light, it is not mine to command." Suddenly, a knock echoed through the walls, low and deliberate, like someone tapping from inside the very structure of the lighthouse. Alex froze. The journal's pages stopped flipping, the storm outside quieted for a heartbeat, and then a voice, different, softer, almost pleading, sounded from below. "Help us!" Alex's stomach churned. He knew the voice was not real, or at least not of this world. Yet every fiber of his being told him someone, or something, was trapped in the lighthouse, calling for help for decades. The shadowy figure reached out a skeletal hand toward him. "If you go down," Samuel Black's form whispered, "you may see what I have seen, and you may never leave." Alex swallowed hard, but knew he couldn't stay in the lamp room forever. The door behind him was locked, and the walls seemed to breathe with anticipation. He had to descend to see the lighthouse's heart. He grabbed the spiral staircase, each step creaking like a warning. Halfway down, a strange fog crept into the stairwell, cold and damp, carrying voices whispering unintelligible words. Alex shivered. It wasn't just the storm. It was the lighthouse itself, alive, watching, waiting. At the base, the main room of the lighthouse was different from the top. The decay was worse, but there were traces of recent activity. Footprints in the dust, chairs slightly moved, and a faint scent of smoke. And then he saw them. Shadows clinging to the walls, faces forming in the peeling paint, twisting in silent screams. "They follow the light," a voice rasped. Alex turned sharply. A faint figure hovered in the corner. A sailor's ghost, perhaps, bound to the lighthouse by something darker than death. Their eyes glowed with terror and pleading. Alex stumbled back toward the door, but it slammed shut before he could reach it. The fog thickened, enveloping him, whispering warnings and threats he didn't fully understand. Symbols from the journal began appearing in the mist. Circles, arrows, lines connecting to impossible points, like a map he couldn't read. And then he heard the bell again. Not outside, but within the walls. It tolled once, slowly, each strike reverberating through his chest. The shadows reacted, stretching, reaching. He realized with a jolt that the lighthouse was drawing power from the storm, from the trapped souls, and from him. Every heartbeat, every breath, seemed to fuel the dark mechanism that Samuel Black had been trying to control. The whispers grew louder, merging into a single coherent warning. "Do not light it. Do not let the light burn, or all will be claimed." Alex's mind raced. The lamp room, the storm, the shadows, everything connected. If he could somehow extinguish the lamp, maybe he could break the lighthouse's grip. But something inside him, a compulsion he couldn't resist, pushed him toward the spiral staircase again, toward the light, toward the storm. And then he felt it. a hand, icy and impossibly strong, gripping his shoulder. He spun, heart hammering, to see Samuel Black fully materialized, eyes wide, mouth twisted in a silent scream. "You must decide," the ghost rasped, "to save them, or to join them." Lightning flashed through the windows, illuminating the storm-tossed ocean. And in that light, Alex saw a figure rising from the waves. A shipwreck, yet alive, its deck crawling with shadows that reached upward toward the lamp, toward him. The storm was no longer outside. It was inside. It had found him. Alex is now fully entangled in the lighthouse's dark secret. The lamp burns, the storm is inside the building, and ghostly ships rise from the ocean, drawn toward the light. Will he resist the compulsion to light it, or will he unleash the full horror trapped for decades? Alex clutched the railing of the spiral staircase as the lighthouse seemed to shudder around him. The storm had become an entity, roaring through the walls, shaking the glass panes and tossing shadows like living creatures across the room. The lamp's glow pulsed, brightening and dimming as if in sync with some unholy heartbeat. He tried to move, to descend further into the lower chambers, but the staircase felt endless. Every step took him deeper into darkness, and the shadows followed, slithering like smoke along the railing. A whisper echoed. They hunger for the light. Alex's mind raced. The journal's warning about the lighthouse feeding on storms and souls came back to him. Samuel Black's figure had spoken of a choice, to save or to join, but the stakes were now higher. He understood that the lamp wasn't just a light. It was a beacon, calling things from beyond, things that shouldn't exist in the human world. Reaching the base, Alex found the main room transformed. The storm outside was irrelevant now. The lighthouse had become a pocket of madness. The walls were covered with wet, dark symbols that pulsed under the lamp's glow. Shadows moved independently of anything natural, writhing like serpents. And from the fogged corners, voices cried, screamed, begged. Alex could see faces forming in the mist. Men, women, children, some twisted in terror, others with expressions of pleading. He realized with horror that these were the trapped souls Samuel Black had written about, caught for decades by the lighthouse's malevolent power. A hand grabbed his wrist, icy, skeletal, impossibly strong. He spun around to see Samuel Black, fully corporeal, but not alive in any natural sense. His eyes glowed faintly, pleading but sorrowful. "You must put out the lamp," Black said, voice cracking like broken glass. "If you don't, they will rise and claim everything." Alex's stomach churned. The lamp at the top of the spiral staircase pulsed, almost calling to him. Something inside him, a compulsion he couldn't resist, pulled him upward. The shadows surged, twisting and stretching, forming vague shapes of sailors and lighthouse keepers long gone. They whispered, "Bring the light. Let us rise." He fought against the pull, but it was like swimming against a tide of molten darkness. The whispers grew louder, merging into a chorus that seemed to come from the walls themselves. "Stop!" Alex shouted, trying to regain his strength. "I won't let you control me!" But the lighthouse wasn't listening. The fog thickened, wrapping around his legs, slowing him down. From the journal, he remembered a sketch showing the lamp's mechanism. It could be blocked, the light's power contained. It was his only hope. Alex ran toward the staircase again, ignoring Samuel Black's warnings of certain doom. He reached the lamp room and found the mechanism exactly as the journal had shown. A lever and a series of gears controlling the glass panels. If he could seal the lamp, maybe he could stop the lighthouse from calling the shadows. But the shadows were already inside. One lunged at him, a sailor, frozen in a scream, eyes black voids. Alex stumbled backward, almost falling. Samuel Black appeared again, reaching out. "Do it! Seal it, or all is lost!" Alex grabbed the lever, his hands slick with sweat. The shadows hissed and screamed as if they could smell the attempt to thwart them. He pulled with all his strength. The gears ground, the glass panels clicked shut. The lamp flickered, the glow dimming. For a moment, The storm inside the lighthouse seemed to hesitate, as if the building itself was reconsidering its wrath. But the pause was brief. The lighthouse shuddered violently. The floor trembled. The shadows screamed, and a deafening roar echoed through the chamber as the ship from the storm, the ghostly vessel, crashed into the side of the lighthouse with unnatural force. Water and debris flooded the room. Alex was thrown to the ground, gasping, soaked in icy seawater that seemed to come from nowhere. Through the chaos, Samuel Black's voice cut through the roar. "You've delayed them. But the lighthouse never forgets. It takes what it wants, in the end." Alex looked up and saw the fog outside the windows swirl into a massive shape. A colossal, twisted form of light and shadow, rising like a deity of storms, hunger, and death. The lighthouse itself had become a living monster, pulsing with centuries of trapped souls. The realization hit Alex like a hammer. He hadn't stopped the lighthouse. He had only awakened its full fury. Lightning struck the top of the tower, and the figure of Samuel Black screamed in silent agony, dissolving into shadows that merged with the storm. The lamp flared one last time, brighter than anything Alex had ever seen, and then darkness. The storm ceased suddenly. The shadows vanished, leaving Alex in the silent, empty lighthouse. But something had changed. He felt it in the walls, in the air, in his own reflection. The lighthouse was waiting for him to make the final choice. Alex has temporarily survived the lighthouse's fury, but it is alive, aware, and hungry. Samuel Black's warnings echo in his mind, and the ghostly ship and trapped souls are still out there, waiting for the light to call them again. Will Alex find a way to stop it? Or will he become the next keeper trapped forever? The lighthouse was silent now, eerily so, but the stillness felt wrong, like the calm before a storm far worse than the one outside. Alex sat on the wet floor, shivering, his heart hammering in his chest. The lamp had gone out, leaving the room in dim moonlight filtered through cracked glass. He thought he had survived, that he had finally escaped the fury, but the air whispered differently now. The lighthouse had not forgiven him. The walls seemed to breathe. Faint shapes moved in the corners, almost imperceptibly. Faces formed, twisted in pain, mouths opening and closing silently. Alex realized these were the same faces from the journal, the same ones Samuel Black had been trying to save, or perhaps control. The trapped souls weren't gone. They were waiting, watching. Alex stood, trembling, and approached the spiral staircase. The storm outside had returned, but this time it was muted, as if the ocean itself feared the lighthouse. He needed answers. He needed to understand what Samuel Black had been protecting, or what he had unleashed. He found the journal again, lying in a puddle of icy water. Flipping through the pages, he noticed a new entry, one that hadn't been there before. The lamp is the heart. The light calls them, feeds them. But there is a way to trap the storm, to bind the souls. It is not for the living. Only the one who dares to merge with the lighthouse may end it. Alex's blood ran cold. Merge with the lighthouse? That wasn't survival. That was becoming part of it. Becoming one with the storm, the shadows, the trapped souls. A faint light flickered at the top of the spiral staircase. The lamp was relit, glowing with unnatural intensity, though Alex hadn't touched it. The shadows below writhed, drawn upward, forming ghostly shapes of ships, sailors, and keepers, all reaching for the glow. He realized with horror, the lighthouse had chosen him. Samuel Black's figure appeared again, this time fully transparent, his form flickering like a candle in the wind. "I failed," Black whispered. "It wants you. The lighthouse doesn't forgive. It doesn't forget. It only waits for the next soul to claim." Alex backed away, but the walls seemed to close in. The shadows were moving faster now, converging toward the spiral staircase. He had seconds, maybe less. Frantically, he scanned the room for anything that could help. The journal mentioned a mechanism in the lamp room that could trap the storm. Alex realized he hadn't fully sealed the lamp's power. He had only delayed it. He had to finish what Samuel had started, or he would be consumed entirely. He raced upward, the shadows twisting and reaching from the walls like living chains. His hands grabbed the lever and gears. Pulling with all his strength, he heard the mechanical groan of the lamp shutting down. The glow dimmed, but not completely. The lighthouse resisted. A hand grabbed his ankle. Alex fell, the cold seawater rushing in from some impossible source. He looked up to see a sailor's ghost, eyes black voids, screaming silently. The lighthouse wanted him to fail. It wanted him to join the ranks of the trapped. Alex summoned every ounce of courage. He pulled the lever again. The lamp sputtered, the light faltered, and the storm seemed to scream in fury. The shadows screamed, forming a vortex around the top of the spiral staircase, trying to drag him into the light. "Do it!" Samuel Black's ghost yelled, "or you are lost!" With a final, desperate effort, Alex forced the lamp into its sealed position. The lighthouse shuddered violently. Shadows screamed, the storm outside roared, and then silence. Absolute silence. The light was gone. The storm had vanished. The lighthouse breathed one last heavy sigh, and then became still. Alex sat on the floor, trembling, staring at the mechanism he had just forced to obey. He had done it. He had trapped the storm, contained the light, and ended the curse, or so he hoped. But as he looked out the window, the ocean seemed different. Too still, too dark, and a faint melodic whisper echoed in his ears. The lighthouse remembers. Alex survived and seemingly ended the curse, but the lighthouse is still alive in ways he cannot fully comprehend. Its whispers linger, hinting that it may not release him or anyone else completely. The final twist is near. What the lighthouse truly is and what it wants is yet to be revealed. Alex thought he had survived. The lamp was sealed, the storm contained, the shadows vanished. Yet as he walked through the lighthouse's main chamber, something deep inside him whispered unease. The air was unnervingly still, too perfect, too quiet. He climbed the spiral staircase one last time, drawn back to the lamp room. Perhaps it was curiosity. Perhaps it was the lingering pull of the lighthouse itself. When he reached the top, he saw the sealed lamp glowing faintly, a soft, eerie pulse like a heartbeat. And then he saw it, his reflection. Or rather, not exactly his reflection. The glass of the lamp was slightly misted, and in it, he saw a second figure. Himself, but older, hollow-eyed, pale with shadows curling across his face. His own reflection mouthed words he didn't speak. The lighthouse remembers. Alex stumbled back, heart hammering. Samuel Black's ghost appeared beside him, transparent, fragile, yet resolute. "It's not over," Black said. "The lighthouse, it is not just a building. It is a prison. It is alive, and it chooses its keepers. Every soul who tries to stop it becomes part of its memory, part of its will." Alex realized with dawning horror what that meant. He hadn't just contained the lamp. He had awakened it fully. The lighthouse had marked him. Its hunger had shifted from the storm outside to the living soul within. The shadows returned, not in the room, but within him. He felt a pull in his chest, a cold, creeping sensation that twisted his thoughts. The lighthouse whispered, guiding him, seducing him. He tried to resist, but he felt himself slipping, becoming part of the structure he had fought to control. Suddenly, the journal flew from the floor, pages flipping violently, stopping at a final entry Alex hadn't seen before. The lighthouse chooses the one who dares to fight. It offers power, control, eternity, but at a cost. The one who survives will no longer be the same. They will serve the light, or the light will consume them completely. Alex tried to run, to leave, but the spiral staircase seemed endless. The door at the top slammed shut with a deafening crash. The lamp's faint glow intensified, pulsating in perfect rhythm with his racing heartbeat. He saw shadows in the glass, all the keepers, all the sailors, all the lost souls staring at him, reaching, beckoning. The lighthouse wasn't finished, it was testing him. It wanted him to join, to become the next guardian, the next witness, or it would devour him utterly. Alex's vision blurred. He fell to the floor, grasping at the lamp, trying to pull it away, but it wasn't a simple light. It was a force, a consciousness, a living prison of countless years of storm, death, and fear. "Do you accept it?" a voice whispered inside his mind. "Join us, or be forgotten." Alex realized the impossible truth. The lighthouse had never been just a structure. Samuel Black hadn't been consumed by accident. He had merged with it, becoming part of its memory, its mind, its will. And now it wanted Alex to do the same, to continue the cycle of keeping the storm and the souls contained, but alive, aware, forever. With trembling hands, Alex reached toward the lamp. The shadows surged, embracing him. His reflection in the glass became more solid, more him, yet not him. A scream tore through the room. His own? The lighthouse's? He couldn't tell. And then, silence. When the town below awoke the next morning, the lighthouse was calm, peaceful even, sunlight glinting off its glass. No storm raged, no shadows moved. The structure appeared abandoned, as if it had always been. But inside, in the lamp room, there was a new figure standing silently, waiting, eyes hollow, face pale, a faint glow pulsing in rhythm with the sealed lamp. The lighthouse had chosen again, and somewhere deep in the walls a voice whispered, "For 50 years it slumbered. Now it remembers, and it waits for the next one." The sea crashed outside, indifferent. The lighthouse stood eternal. Alex was gone. Or perhaps he had always been part of it. The lighthouse is not just haunted, it is a living, sentient prison that merges anyone who confronts it with its being. Samuel Black was the first, Alex the latest. Every attempt to stop it only strengthens it, as the lighthouse remembers and incorporates each soul. The horror is that the cycle will continue, endlessly, with the lighthouse silently choosing its next victim.